VLAN routing with switch virtual interfaces. So this was router on a stick, right? We used virtual interfaces called sub-interfaces in order for us to properly route traffic between VLANs using this router, right? Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using switch virtual interfaces in order to route traffic between VLANs on a layer 3 switch. And this is how we do it. This is how we do it. All right, let me not even, I'm wilding right now. Shouldn't be singing. All right, so host name, layer 3 switch 1, right? And what we're gonna do is ideally, if you have a layer 3 switch, like I do, I have the same switch at home. You have to use the SDM prefer LAN base routing. Now this is gonna give me an error because you don't have to do it in Packet Tracer. It's not available in Packet Tracer. I believe it's one of these commands. I always screw up the hyphens, right? But what you need to do is this conf t. So let's rewind. A layer 3 switch as opposed to a layer 2 switch can route between VLANs, right? And the reason it's able to do that is because it has routing capabilities. And how we enable those routing capabilities is by using this command right here, IP routing. Now, in the ASIC, it's made room for a routing table. And now we're pretty much good to go to set up these hosts. And it's pretty much the same logic with regard to setting up the host on, you know, a router on a stick with a layer 2 switch for the layer 2 side of things, right? So here we go. We're gonna use 3 VLANs, by the way, and I'm gonna tell you what that third VLAN is for in a second. So VLAN, we're gonna do VLAN 10. VLAN 10, data 1, VLAN 20, data 2. Oops, we're gonna just name these VLANs. VLAN 30, and name, we're gonna call this access. Now, the reason why we're calling VLAN 30 access, I mean, it doesn't have any functional reason behind it, but we are going to use VLAN 30 as an access, essentially an access link, right? So let's set up VLAN 20. We're going to use that as an access link between the router and the switch. So you might be asking why would we be doing that? Because if these hosts want to send a packet out into the internet or out into the wider organization, it has to have a way to the router that has access to the rest of the world, right? So we're gonna set up these ports. By the way, I have bad security on that last one. I didn't harden the only unused port over here. Out of good best practices, you should ideally shut down any port that you're not using. And as we can see, it's G02, right? Well, it's down, but it should be administratively down, right? So let's set this up. Switch port mode, access. Oops, let's go into the interfaces. Interface range FA01 to 11 is going to be in switch port mode access, and then it's going to be switch port access VLAN 10, right? And interface range FA012 through 24 is going to be switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN 20. So these are our two VLANs that are on the switch right down here, and we can label these once again. Maybe I should have used different VLAN numbers, but it's okay. So this is going to be VLAN 10. Let's use this light blue right here, and this is going to be VLAN 20, and let's name them. It's good to name things. It keeps track of what you're building, right? VLAN 20. Boom. Now let's hook everything up. Straight through cable. Again, this is good to know. Ideally, you should know this. You should know why you're using a straight through cable. And I'm not above any of this stuff, because here's the thing: when you get your CCNA, you get your CCNA and forget everything that you learned, right? So that's why I like to do these labs, live streams, and do it in public, because I'm trying to be as candid as possible, right? This is why I call this stream the after hours, because it's a break from all of the polished content that I post, right? So now we're gonna connect this to this, right? And now what we're gonna do is set it up so that we have, oh, one more thing I forgot. We're gonna set up a DHCP pool. We can set up DHCP on this router if we want, but that's not what we're gonna do. IP DHCP, oh, and the switch virtual interfaces. I'm bugging. So interface, this is an important part. Interface VLAN 10, right? You're gonna assign it an IP address. It's gonna act as a default gateway for the hosts in VLAN 10, right? So how we do that is giving it an IP address. Almost forgot that critical component right there. And then now, no shut, it's already up, right? Exit interface VLAN 20. And then you're going to do IP address again, 192.168.20.254. Okay. And then it's already up, but you can still do no shut, right? So now you have the two default gateways. IP DHCP pool VLAN 10, and you can do network 192.168.20.25. This is the network, right? Network range, and then you're going to use the default gateway, default router 192.168.20.254, DNS DNS server 1.1.1.1, and then you're all good for VLAN 10. Now you're going to create a DHCP pool or start up a DHCP server for VLAN 20, network 192.168. Why did I do 20? Oh man, it doesn't matter. It's just the name. It's just the name. So I have them swapped. So VLAN 20, let's keep going. 10.0, 255.255.255.0. I was looking up there while I was typing. Default, hopefully I didn't screw something else up. I thought it would be wise to do this right after I got in. Like, oh yeah, I'm all hopped up on endorphins. Let's go. But it's all good. It's just the naming convention that's swapped, right? DNS server 1.1.1.1. Right? Now DHCP, 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 DHCP. Now let's check the routing table. Do show IP route. See, we have a routing table in a switch. That's what the whole purpose of the IP route command was, right? So if we do this, let's see what happens. There's no routing table, right? So let's put it back. Do show IP route. See? That's the power of using a layer 3 switch. Now, we're gonna let's set up interface VLAN 30. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna give it an IP address. This is a virtual interface. We need to give it an IP address. And this is essential for creating that link between this router here and this switch, right? So the IP address, just call it 254.255.255.255.0. Exit. Should be already up, right? Yep, it's up. I like to just do no shut, just in case. And then now, also, what's in VLAN 30? Let's first of all, which one is this connected to? So G00, let's bring it up real quick and put it in the same subnet as the SVI. That is essential for that connection, right? Int G00. Let's just double check. And we're gonna do IP address 192.168.30.1. Oops, forgot the mask. Don't forget the mask. No shut. Now it's back. It's up, right? And we have here G01. It's connected to G01, right? And I believe we are supposed to int G01 switch port mode. Let's put access. Switch port access. I don't think it. Do I have to put access VLAN 30? Not trunking anything, right? Go down and go up. Yeah, it's acting as, this is acting as an access port, right? Or access link. VLAN 30 is acting as an access link. So this is gonna be VLAN 30. Let's wait for it to go up. Yep, it's connected. Now let's do ping 192.168. What was it? 30.30.1. So it reached, right? Guess it was that that first ping was an ARP request, right? So let's do it again and you'll see all 5 success, right? So we was able to ping across using this VLAN, this access VLAN. If we didn't have that, then there would be no way to reach across to the other side. So now let's test. Yeah, we got IP addresses, right? For each. We got IP addresses for each host. So let's ping across the host. Oops, let's see what IP address this is. This is 20.1. So let's ping 20.1. Right? Ping 192.168.20.1. Again, as you would expect, that first message is going to time out because an ARP is being released, right? And here's the evidence. Now it knows the MAC address of its router, and it just pings it straight up, right? And this all went through this switch right here because it's a layer 3 switch. It can do routing. You know, it's allowed to route, right? So that's pretty much that for SVIs. Let's look at the routing table again. Do show IP route. See? We see that this network right here is directly connected to VLAN 30. And since it's directly connected to VLAN 30, this one is also, this router right here is in the same subnet as that VLAN. And by virtue of that, it's allowed to communicate across this link. So VLAN 30 is being used as an access link. So that's the essential idea of inter-VLAN routing with switch virtual interfaces. When you're using the connection between this router and the switch, you're using it as the connection, using the VLAN as a connection between the two, right? So there's that. Whereas the difference between inter-VLAN routing with SVIs and route on a stick is that this is a physical connection that's using the 802.1q encapsulation.